What's up guys, it's your boy Falcon back again, and today we are working on a check engine light code P0131, which is bank 1, sensor 1, oxygen sensor. So we need to replace that. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so we are back working on this 2012 Nissan Sentra with a 2.0 liter engine. I think this is the SL model. Still not too sure about that. 4 videos later, but I think it's the SL model. Anyway, it's a 2.0 liter engine, and we're gonna replace the first oxygen sensor, what we call a upstream oxygen sensor, which is gonna be the one right before the catalytic converter, right after the head. On this one, it is right behind the head. On this one, it is gonna be right behind the head. So I'm gonna try to get as much footage as I can, because there's a limited amount of room back there. So here, let me show you. We should be able to see the sensor back there, but just so we can get a little bit more room, I'm gonna take this cover off. And to take this cover off, I'm just gonna take off those 2 10mm wires. We're gonna take this one off. I'm gonna put the bolts right here on the top, and we should be able just to pull this one off. There it goes. Just to give us a little bit more room. I can see the sensor back there. I can kind of see it back there. Now there is a cover for the exhaust system that it'll probably be better for me to take it off. I see 4 10mm bolts. There's 4 10mm bolts on the actual exhaust cover, which is this one right here, that one right there. It has 4 bolts. You see that blue cable right there? You guys can barely see it. That's gonna be the oxygen sensor I'm gonna replace. So all I'm gonna do is remove this hose, just kind of pull it out, move it out of the way, and then undo those bolts there. Let me take this off, this cover here, and then once it's out, I'll show you where the bolts are at. Okay, first I'm taking off that hose, that vacuum line hose, just so I can have a little bit more room. There it goes, and I'm just gonna move it up to the side. Now with a little bit more room, I can feel there's 1, 2, 3, the 4 10mm nut bolts. Alright, so I'm gonna use this 10mm ratchet, and also this 10mm ratchet, so I can try to break them loose. I have taken off this cover before, so it shouldn't be that tight as far as the bolts. I already broke one loose. The other one is loose again. One bolt off. Bolt off. And here we go. Cover is out. Let me get it out of here. Okay, here is the cover that I took off. So the head will be right here, and I was going in through this side. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. That's it, and then you take it off. The oxygen sensor cable is just clipped in here. You just pull it down and it comes off. But that is it. That is how you take this cover off. Let's see if we can get a better look now on the oxygen sensor. There it is right here. This one right here. So now I'm gonna unplug it. Okay. I was able to get that oxygen sensor off, but I ran into a huge problem. So I hope, I didn't get footage of this, but let me explain it to you. This oxygen sensor from factory has a heat shield, which, I get the design behind it, but it's a pain in the butt to remove. Here it is. So what I had to do here was all the oxygen sensor sockets that I have that are made specially for oxygen sensors are very thick, and they wouldn't fit in there to get that into that thing, the socket, to get it in there. So what I had to do was, I've had to do this before. When you cross that point of no return, sometimes whenever you're trying to do an oxygen sensor, you're like, all right, this is gonna be way too hard. I need to stop. I need to heat it up. I need to let it run for a little bit. Put some WD-40. But once you cut the wires off of the oxygen sensor, there is really no returning, especially when you cut them this close. So that is what I had to do, so I can get a small enough socket into that little heat shield so I can get it off. So let me show you, I guess, from the other end. This is the oxygen sensor. You can see it is a little bit clogged up. So I'm still waiting on the new one to come in. Once I have the new one, I'll make another little clip about it, and I'll also post a link to it if I find one, maybe on Amazon or something like that. But I had to cut it off so I can use this Duralast 22-inch socket. The oxygen's nuts are usually 7/8 or 22-inch. This is the 22-inch that I had to use, and this is the socket that I have for the oxygen sensor. I also have this other one that is also made for oxygen sensors. It's made so you can still get the cable through there, and you can still take it off. But you see the difference in thickness? This one's a lot thicker. Same thing on this one. This one's a lot thicker. And when you have that heat shield, it wouldn't go in there. And this one just went in just perfectly. You see it? This one wouldn't go in there. This one doesn't fit all the way inside, so I can get to that nut. But this one went in perfectly. So that's what I had to do. I had to cut it so I can get in there. Like I said, sometimes you have to do stuff like that just to get it in there, get it out of there. Once you cut it, there's no turning back. One way or another, that oxygen sensor needed to come off. So I took a trip to the parts store this morning. I figured it was a long shot, but I still went to see if they had a socket thinner than the one that I have for oxygen sensors. And lo and behold, I found one at O'Reilly's. It is a PT brand, CR-VW1267. And this one is actually just a tight bit thinner than the one that I have. So this one actually works perfect. So here, let me show you the part number for this one. I'll also put a link to it on the description. But here is the old oxygen sensor. And if I try to put this one in here, it goes in perfectly. That's all the way in. And if I use the one that I had, which is a Pittsburgh brand, it is way too thick, it wouldn't go in. And this one, I think it's also a Pittsburgh, but they're just way too thick, they wouldn't go in. So if you're running into this issue on this vehicle, you can always get this one. This one works perfectly. Guys, now that we find the right tool, I'm gonna go ahead and screw that back on there. I'm gonna put that cover back on, the one with the 4 bolts. You guys know how I took it off, so just wiggle it back in there. Of course, put the oxygen sensor reconnected, wiggle this cover back in there, put the 4 bolts, and we are done. After this, I'm just gonna go clear my check engine light with an ODB. If you don't have one, you can always just plug the battery for like 5 minutes, but best thing to do is the ODB. And that is it. That is how you fix the check engine light code P0131, which is oxygen sensor, bank 1, sensor 1, or what they call a upstream. Alright guys, so I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that bell for me, share the channel. I will catch you guys on my next video. Thank you for watching, and you guys have yourselves a great day.